Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, and Papillion, where you can get your computer fixed, where you can get your data recovered if your hard drive is acting up on you. You can get your website built. If you need a website, we can build that for you. We can build you a new computer if you need that. I mean, pretty much if it touches a computer over at Schrock Innovations, we do it. So 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. Those are the numbers to join us on the program this week. And, of course, if you ask a question or make a comment, we will put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate as well. All right, loyal Facebook viewers, we are streaming live on Facebook right now. If you let me know if we're having any kind of issues with audio this morning, I'd appreciate it, because it's hard to talk and listen to yourself in two different places at the same time, especially with a time delay. If you've ever had to talk with a time delay playing in your ear, that's an acquired skill. Like, I remember when I first started doing radio, I'm like, what the heck? I'm hearing myself like 4 seconds after I say things, and it's super confusing. But you gotta keep pushing through. You have to persevere. So yeah, we can do that. All right. So programming note. Coming up here in the next couple of weeks, we are going to have a different call-in number. As I mentioned last week, we are going to be basically syndicating this show into Lincoln. It's a first test syndication. Those of you who are listening from out of state, hello everybody. We have listeners from all over the United States who post on Facebook. So if you're from outside of the Omaha, Lincoln, if you're outside of Nebraska, basically, say hello on the Facebook page. Just say hi, and you'll find that we're pretty nice people. Funny thing, I was reading a story the other day, and everybody makes fun of living in Nebraska. People do, because it's Nebraska. What are you doing in Nebraska? Corn. There's some cows. Are there more cows than people there? Do you guys have outhouses? Oh yeah, we've heard it all. But I was reading a story that was talking about how Apple built their new headquarters in Cupertino, and they're like, the property prices of the houses around this, it's going through the roof. And so basically, what is a family supposed to do? Because the price of a 1,400 square foot home, now we're talking 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet outside of the Apple headquarters, went from a completely reasonable $750,000, and it doubled to $1.5 million, completely unaffordable. And I'm looking at this like, holy cow! You can get a 4,000 square foot house in Nebraska for like $200,000, $300,000 for half of the original cost of what it would cost to live next door to Apple, which, unless you work there, why would you want to live next door to Apple's spaceship place anyway? I don't know. It just blows my mind, and you got to think. And people like, I was talking to another gentleman, another business owner about it, and he said, oh yeah, I got offered jobs to go out and do the same thing I'm doing here, but do it in California. They said, we're going to give you a pay raise. You're making $40,000 right now. We're going to pump you up to $400,000 a year. How's that sound, big guy? And he's like, I have family who lives in California, so that doesn't sound very good, actually, because the cost of living is so much higher there, it would be a pay cut. Oh. Well, what about Colorado then? Oh, no. So it's one of those things where, on one hand, you can say what you want to say about, living in Nebraska, but boy, I don't know. It feels. Then you start looking at like New York and places like that, and you're like, people, pay them. What is it? In Silicon Valley, they're living in tents, and people, you can rent a tent out in your backyard to somebody for like $2,000 a month. In a tent. Now I have to go camping at many points with my scouts here in a week or so for a week in Minnesota, and I'll be living in a tent in Minnesota for a week, and I'll get to experience what life is like, and I now have to ask myself, would I pay $2,000 to do that? Now, I suppose if you're making like $400,000 a year and you're living in a $2,000 a month tent, maybe you've hit the big time. I mean, maybe it's. Then on the other hand, we were watching. My wife and I were watching some news yesterday, or a show or something, and they were reporting live from California, and it was from Hollywood, and I mean it was just like cardboard boxes all over the street and people laying on them, and people begging for money on the corners, and it was just like, oh my goodness, you think the guys at 72nd and Dodge are bad, they're at least faking it, they're not really even homeless, but these guys were pretty homeless looking. So yeah, I don't know, I'm thankful this morning. I'm feeling very thankful for living where we live, and doing what we do here, doing what we love. So here's the fun part. So we're going to take this show And I'm lowering the audio a little bit, Winston. Thank you. Doing this show, and we're going to take it and we're going to shotgun it out to other places. So here's the funny part. Our prices are going to seem like super duper cheap to people who are living in California. They'll be like, what? You know, you'll do that for how much? I can't even get a burger at McDonald's for $110. That's pretty crazy. And people in Nebraska will be like, you know, it's good service, it's a good value. And, you know, people in New York, I don't even know. But basically what we're doing is we're testing out whether we can take this show as it exists right here on 1110 KFAB and push it out into other markets, which is why we launched the website where you can go online and purchase products and services at SchrockInnovations.com now. Keep in mind also, we're going to talk a little bit about this. I'm not going to hammer it home on you because we've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, but the preventative maintenance checkup sale is still going on. This is the time basically where where the rubber's going to meet the road. So I mentioned you can go on our website and buy stuff. You can actually purchase a preventative maintenance checkup certificate on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. They're on sale for half off right now. This is the final maintenance checkup sale of 2017. After this, there will be no more this year. Because when you think about it, okay, right now we're in July, right? So we're going to do maintenance checkup for the rest of this week. And toward the end of this week, we're going to start sending the call fire. And what the call fire is basically anybody who hasn't had maintenance in the last, we're realistic about it. You know, you're supposed to have it every 6 months, but we don't like to bug people, you know, that have already been bugged. So if you haven't been in the last year, and for anything, for any work orders at all, if you haven't bought a new computer, if you haven't come in for a repair or maintenance or whatever, you don't get a call, basically. So, you know, we're not going to call people who have been in the last year because if they needed something, they probably got it. Yes, they should come in for maintenance every 6 months, but again, I don't want to bug the heck out of people, especially with robocalls. You know, I get a lot of people who say they really appreciate the phone calls because they missed the radio show or whatever, and to have a reminder call that they're due for a maintenance checkup is really handy. And I also get some people who are really, really upset that we call them, you know. So, you know, we try to, you know, if you get a robocall from Schrock and you don't want that call for whatever reason, you can press the number 8 on your keypad on your phone, and it will put you on the do not call list for Schrock. It'll also add you to the do not email list. It will also, so you won't get any reminders about maintenance checkups, about your endpoint expiring. You won't get any reminders about Secure Updater via phone or email. You also won't get any marketing or promotional emails. It's the same thing. If you unsubscribe to the emails, you unsubscribe to all things, including the phone calls too. We filter out people from the phone calls that have unsubscribed from the emails because they obviously don't want to hear from us. So that's cool, you know, for whatever reason. That's cool. So the people we try to narrow it down to people who just want the message. And then we let them know, hey, the maintenance checkups are on sale. So what's going to happen is this week coming up, so I'd say Monday through Thursday, is going to be a key opportune time for you to come into the service center with your computer and get the preventative maintenance checkup done. Or conversely, you can just go to the website and buy a certificate. If you don't buy things online, you can call us at the shop and purchase a certificate. We'll do it over the phone. We can email it or even postal mail it to you, whatever you want. But after that, when the robocall starts going out, to give you an idea, the last time we did this, we had, the first time we did it, we've done it twice now. The first time we did the robocall for this, we found out like 22,000 phone calls, and it was an insane response. This was before we had the website, so everybody pressed 1 to transfer. And apparently, okay, so I did a message that went something like this. Hi, this is Thor from Schrock Innovations, giving you a call because our preventative maintenance checkups are on special. My records indicate that you're due for one. So right now, if you'd like to press 1, you can actually purchase a certificate that's good for 6 months going forward that allows you to come in and get the sale price anytime in the next 6 months for a maintenance checkup. Press 1 to be transferred to the service center now. Otherwise, you know, you can always, you know, sometimes we leave voicemails, you know, if it's an answering machine that picks up. Otherwise, give us a call back in the shop and we'll be happy to get you set up with a certificate. Thanks and have a great day. I learned a hard lesson that day. You need to be extraordinarily specific when you do these calls. Should have said what I said in the second message, the second time we sent it. Hi, this is Thor from Schrock Innovations. Preventative maintenance checkups are on sale at Schrock. My records indicate that you need one, that you haven't had one in the last 6 months. Therefore, if you'd like to spend $45 to purchase a certificate that is good for the next 6 months, please press 1 now. Otherwise, if you miss this sale, this will be the last one of the year and you won't be able to get a discounted checkup again. Keep in mind the certificates are good for 6 months, so anytime in the next 6 months, if you purchase one for $45 now, you can use it anytime in the next 6 months. Press 1 to purchase one now. So notice the emphasis on purchase in the second one, and in the first one, the emphasis was genuinely where my heart was at, which was like, you need maintenance on your computer. We need to get this done for you. We have these certificates to try to make your life easier. Go ahead and buy one. Hey, good morning, Dennis from San Diego. Good to hear from you. So, Dennis, you got to tell me, man, on Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations, Dennis, you got to tell me, how are the prices in San Diego? Like, are we talking $750,000 houses, you know, for tents in the yard, or is it like 1.5 million? You got to let me know. All right, so I see the Facebook comments about, you know, the fact that I am wearing a purple shirt today. I bought one yesterday just for the show. I was walking past it at Shields. My wife said, "Ooh, that purple would look good on you." And I'm like, "Purple? I've got to do it." And then it was an ungodly expensive purple shirt. I was like, "Really? It's a polo. Why is it $60? If we were in California, this would be a $300 shirt." I'm just saying, you know. So anyway, the maintenance checkup is on special right now. It's going to get crazy when we do the robocalls. People are going to call, and most of them are going to buy certificates. But what ends up happening is everybody who's bought a certificate so far will wait until the end of the sale and then come in at the end after I say, okay, this is the last weekend, then it's over. But what happens is when I do that, the Procrastinators Unite message, everybody either buys or comes in, and so we end up getting like a punch in the face right after the end of the sale. So here's the deal. Right now in my service centers, the Papillion Service Center has 0 queue. There are about 4 computers on the bench in there. The guys are doing an amazing job keeping those things taken care of for you. So if you're a Papio customer, you can drop your computer off there. By the way, we'll be signing a new lease for the new Papillion Service Center this week. Yeah, we've got the location settled. We got everything worked out, I think. So we're going to put pen to paper and get started on construction, and we're going to hopefully be open by October at the new location at 84th and Highway 370. So that'll be pretty cool. But right now we're still at 72nd and Highway 370. Okay, right next to right across the street from the mall there. But you can get your computer in there. You can get it on the bench today. We're open from noon to 5. We'll get going on everything on it, get all the baseline testing done. You could have it back as soon as tomorrow. So get that in over there. Same situation in the Omaha Service Center. In the Omaha Service Center, they're caught up. They've got about 6 or 7 computers on the bench in there. They have a full staff this weekend. They're ready for you. If you want to drop your computer off, if you have a prepaid certificate, now is a great time to use it if you want to. If you'd like to get a certificate or just come in and get a maintenance checkup done and not mess around with the certificate, you can do that as well. One other thing. I didn't mean to spend so much time on this, but if you're buying a certificate, if you buy it from the website, there's a couple advantages. Now, it's easier for us because the staff doesn't have to get on the phone and do everything, right? But it's also better for you. If you're willing to buy it online, please go to the website at SchrockInnovations.com and purchase the certificate online, because we can electronically track the use of those certificates when they're purchased online, whereas if you call in and buy them, we manually are entering those into like QuickBooks. So there's no electronic. We track when you use them so you don't double use them, but we don't proactively track which ones haven't been used. Does that make sense? Whereas with the website, Alfonso can tell me, of the customers who purchased a maintenance checkup certificate in the last 6 months, here's the number of customers. These are the specific people who have not had a work order in the last 6 months. Therefore, we're certain they haven't used the certificate. And then we can send them a reminder email or something like that to let them know, hey, it's time to get in and use that certificate. So if you do buy it on the website, it gets you a little bit of a reminder that when it comes due, so you don't buy it and then forget about it. We've had a couple people do that before, and we're pretty cool about honoring them, but it's just a friendly reminder. All right, 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. Those are the numbers to join us on the program today. If you ask a question or make a comment, we'll put you in the drawing for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate that's good for anything your heart desires over in the service center. All right. I was talking about bench availability. Lincoln is the only exception. Lincoln does have a small queue right now, primarily because, Lincoln's got 20 bench spots. Omaha has 40. Lincoln was the original, right? So we learned a lot of lessons from Lincoln. We learned that you put the power outlets at chest height on the wall. Well, chest height on a 5'8" guy, not chest height on Robert. He's like 6'2" or something. But you put him chest height on the wall so that you can plug stuff in on the bench, and you don't have to get on your knees and go into the bench with the surge protectors and stuff. Yeah, it's a lot more convenient. We learned some lessons like that in the Papillion and Omaha service centers, but Lincoln was the original. They've got 20 bench spots in there, and they move things as fast as they can possibly move them in there, but it does take a little bit longer just because they don't have as many bench spots. And they also are the original. They've been doing this for 18 years, so when customers in Lincoln understand the vital importance of preventative maintenance. So I'm going to tell you some stories here. We're going to take a quick break on the program, but there's some cool news going on this week. So first off, if you haven't heard, there's a great, it's a funny story. You'll hear why in a minute, but there's a piece of Android malware flying around out there that can activate your camera, that can activate your microphone, can record your calls, can monitor your GPS location, can do anything your phone can do, and you'd be completely unaware of it, and there's absolutely no defense for it, and it's only been going on since 2015. So we're going to tell you all about that coming up on the program, what you need to do to protect yourself from that. There are a couple things you can do. Also on the program today, I'm going to tell you some stories. This is a kind of an interesting month. This month, Tesla will be rolling off the first Model 3 vehicle off their assembly line at the Dreadnought factory. And we'll go into that a little bit. I think from a discussion standpoint, it's not really computer tech, you know what I mean? But I think it's going to illustrate some points for us that the rules are changing. The rules that we're all living by are changing in front of our faces. And sometimes when you go to bed at night and you wake up in the morning, the rules haven't changed. But if you go back, just think about this. If you have a smartphone in your pocket, 2006, the iPhone was released. 2006. So the iPhone was released in George W. Bush's second term. After George W. Bush, we had Obama, and now we have Trump. So 2 presidents ago, you got your first smartphone. And how the world has changed since then. So when you look at it on a timeline of, a decade, oh my gosh, there's a lot of change going on here. We've come a long way from the first microprocessor toy. Simon Says in the 1980s was the first toy that used a processor, a microchip. And now look at where we're at. But now we have we're living in the 4th industrial revolution right now. And sometimes it's hard to see. So I want to go into some of the details of what's happening and how this is going to change things, and then how that ties back into your computers. Because it used to be back in the day that all the computers, the hardware was moving so fast and the software couldn't keep up. And now it's the exact opposite. The software is jumping forward at light speed because they've always had this. All the developers, their entire lives, have had a dearth of hardware to develop on. Like, it doesn't really matter how much of this we use or how much of that we use because there's tons of it. Well, now it's kind of we're getting to the point where the hardware increases are incremental and the software increases are speed of light stuff that are happening. And now everyone wants a data cap. Gosh, come on. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's kind of coming down the pipeline, what you can look for in computer technology, and just a general fun conversation about how the technology that we're getting now, this new tech that's coming out, is going to transform the world that my children grow up in and that your grandchildren and children grow up in as well. 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. Those are the numbers to join us on the show. We have no callers yet, so if you call in, you're pretty much guaranteed to win. And we'll be back next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations has Omaha's only fully equipped data recovery center. Call 934-9423 the next time your hard drive, iPod, camera card, or flash drive stops working, and let Schrock get your data back.
Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows.
Here a little bit. We got a couple spots rolling. Let's see here. Yes, it is really a purple shirt today. I specifically bought this purple shirt so that I could wear it on the radio today. I didn't even wash it. I bought it yesterday. I'm like, I'm going to bring it home, put it on. I hope it fits. Putting on a little weight again. My back has been killing me for like 2 weeks. So I haven't been on the treadmill. I haven't been lifting, and I've been eating all the things. I'm telling you, I didn't know they sold Starburst jelly beans in a 2.5 pound bag. But they do. And the 2.5 pound bag will last you like, 2 days. It's pretty spectacular. My cheek hurts from I think the artificial dye and the jelly bean material are eating away my face inside. I don't know, but all right, audio is hot again. So I turned it down a little bit. I can turn it down some more here. Hold on, guys. All right, let's see here. Real fast. All right, here we go. Turning it down a little more. All right, I've lowered the audio a little bit more. Is it loud or is it hot? I guess that's the good question here. So let's see, my levels on my actual microphone. The microphone array is at 100. So I'm going to lower this array a little bit here. This is my in-studio mic. So the in-studio mic is actually the stupid microphone in my laptop lid, whereas in the studio we're using, these guys here. So it's going to be a little bit different between the two. Just a bit loud on the radio side. Okay. All right. Well, let me take care of that. We're going to come back here in just a minute, guys.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, where I would sincerely, very, 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 very sincerely appreciate your vote in the Best of Omaha competition. Every year, I mean, I'm really blessed to be able to say that my guys at the shop and my gals have won a Best of Omaha award and a Best of Lincoln award every year for the last decade plus. Now, the way that the Best of Omaha awards work is you can get first, second, or third place, and you're considered the Best of Omaha, okay? But they tell us what place we got, whether it was first, and the place that gets first place gets a banner that says first place. Everybody else just gets a Best of Omaha banner, the second and third place. It's not like you got second place, you're the second Best of Omaha. That'd be kind of a not great marketing message. Every single year, Best Buy wins the Best of Omaha competition. They get first place. Primarily, it's name recognition because, they're dropping 10 grand plus a week on marketing in the Omaha metro area alone. 20 grand a week if you count Lincoln against that too, because the same thing happens in Lincoln. We always get second place. And you know what? We're considered the best of Omaha or the best of Lincoln. We'll throw a little asterisk after that, say we're the #1 independent computer repair company because, we're not a multi-location chain store that's, basically a shareholder-owned store. We're just a private company. We're a family business. I would really, really love just 1 year to actually just straight up win Best of Omaha. I have no idea. They don't tell me how many votes it takes. They don't tell me how many people have voted in the past and basically if we came up like 5 votes short or 5,000 votes short of overtaking them. I don't know. But it's completely it's a whim thing, So like I said, I hate to ask for it. I mean, I'm very thankful for your votes, and I would appreciate it if you would vote for us. If you think we have earned it, please vote for us. If we haven't earned it yet, then don't vote for us. I mean, honestly, I understand that. If there's work to do, there's work to do. But we do our best every day. We come in every day, do the absolute level best that we can to make things happen for you. And so if we have earned that, if we have earned your trust and earned your business, please take a moment to vote for us in the Best of Omaha. I'd really appreciate it. You can find that link on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. That's facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. It's the quick vote link that takes you directly to the Best of Omaha registration page. And automatically, once you're registered and you complete the voting process, it'll automatically put you in the running for or mark your vote for Schrock Innovations. They also have pretty much every possible misspelling of Schrock Innovations listed on there so that even if you spell it wrong, it'll come through. I just posted that link again in the show notes here on the live program today, so you can check that out as well. 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. Those are the numbers to join us on the program today. Ask a question or make a comment. We'll get you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, and that's exactly what Sharon has done. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take Sharon's call in 3, 2, 1. Hey, Sharon, how can I help you today on Compute This?
Oh, thank you for letting me on.
Hey, no
I've had
sweat.
a question that I've thought about calling you for a long time. I'm real careful about what I click on the computer so I don't get something I shouldn't. However, about a year ago or so, I clicked on something. I couldn't tell if it was good, bad, or indifferent, and it looked real innocent. I clicked on it. And since then, all I do is get in my spam, I get things that aren't so nice, and and I just delete now, but is there a way to get rid of that so I don't continue to get those now?
Gotcha. Well, Sharon, you shocked me a little bit. I can't remember what I clicked on yesterday, and you remember that you clicked on something a year ago? That's
I just remember because since then I've gotten emails that aren't so kind.
So it was a very memorable event.
Wording and so, yes, because after that I've gotten wording that isn't, language that isn't real appropriate, even just in the spam I get. I don't click on them. But I
Sure.
just wondered if there was a way to get rid of that so I don't keep getting those type of spam messages.
Gotcha. Okay, so the first thing is when you have when you're getting spam email that's coming into your email box, it's because either number one, you provided your email address to somebody. So if you just clicked on something on the internet, they're not going to get your email address from that. You're not going to get spam in your inbox from that. So you didn't do it.
Okay.
So you either provided your email address for a legitimate purpose at some point in the past, or number two, who's your email provider? Is it like AOL or Yahoo or?
It's Prison CenturyLink.
Okay, so gotcha. When you have like an AOL account or a Yahoo account or a Hotmail account, literally they'll just have bots that generate email like A at Yahoo, AB at Yahoo, ABC at Yahoo, ABCD at Yahoo, and they'll just send out emails and literally spray and pray and see what gets hit, and then they'll wait for people to click the unsubscribe links.
Okay.
And then when you click the unsubscribe link, trying to unsubscribe from the spam, you're actually confirming that your address is real, which then they will comply with the Can Spam Act of 1996, and they will never email you again. But they will put your name on a super special, absolute black label private list that they will sell to everyone and their sister. And and then those guys will swap it. They're like, I bought this one. Well, I bought this one. I'll trade you. All right, sweet. And they trade each other because, of course, they each believe they have better email messages to sell you Viagra or Russian girlfriends or whatever garbage they're pushing that day. And unfortunately, there is no way to get criminals and bad guys and sleazeballs to stop talking to you. And asking, you're a girl, you know that. You've probably been approached by a million sleazeballs in your time, So there's no way to get rid of them. They're always there. So the only way that you can stop this kind of stuff is you can try to filter it out. It's a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. The heavier you filter, the more likely it is that you're going to miss an email that you want to see. On the other hand, you can completely change your email address. And this is like when you have the psycho ex-boyfriend and you just change your phone number because it's easier. This is the same thing. And you have to let all your friends know, hey, I got a new phone number. You can call me here now. So that's exactly the same thing, basically. So in CenturyLink can give you a new email address. They give you a free email address with your monthly bill, with your monthly purchase of internet access. So you can call them up and say, hey, I'm getting a ton of spam. Can I change my email address? And they will change it for you. And they'll give you something different. If it's really bugging you and the stuff is really inappropriate, because some of the stuff that comes through is pretty vile. And so basically the bottom line is if you're getting stuff like that and you just would rather not deal with that, you change your email address and you'll have a clean slate. Now here's the other thing. I always advocate maintaining 2 email accounts. I do have I have a at outlook.com account and a Gmail account, and I have my primary email account. So when I send you like a mass email out, that comes from my real email account. So if you reply to those emails, I see those replies and I reply back to you. They come to me personally. Because if I'm going to take the time to send you an email, even if it is a mass-generated email, if I'm going to take time from your day, I'm not going to prohibit you from responding to me to take time from my day. It's like, that's not cool. So basically, when I send out an email like that, I keep a second email account. Because sometimes when I'm online, I'm on Facebook and it's like, ooh, your aura tells you about your personality. Put in your email address here to get your free aura reading. And all my friends did it online, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to do it too. I'm not going to put my real email address in that because there's only one reason they're giving you free aura readings to get your email. Is they're building an email list. And there's only one reason you build an email list. That's to send people email or to sell it. So I guess that's 2 reasons. So, basically the bottom line here is those people get my at outlook.com address and I never check it. I go in there like once a year and I'm like, oh, wow, there's a lot of junk in here. And I just delete all until I'm bored. Then I leave. So basically, as far as it goes, if it's really bugging you, you can change the email address. That's the foolproof way to do it. You can filter it with stuff like Outlook. You can use that to create filters. Outlook is a paid program, though. It's like, a couple $100, so it's kind of expensive. Changing the email address is usually free. Okay,
I might do that then. Thank you so much.
Hey, no sweat, Sharon. I'm sorry that you've had this happen to you, and hopefully you can get it taken care of so that you don't get all that stuff in front of your face again. Because some of it can be pretty vile. In fact, especially if you have kids, some of that can be rough. I took my son out to see Spider-Man: Homecoming, and because he's seen some of the other Marvel movies, he's 10 now, so he's right in that weird area where he thinks he's old enough to see anything. And he's not, so he goes into the, and thank you very much for the call, Sharon. he goes into the theater and we're watching it, and he leans over and he asks me, Dad, what does this mean? Or, Dad, what does that mean? And it's all like the inappropriate things in the movie, and he has no idea what they mean. And I'm like, and if you see the movie, you'll understand. Like when the kid in the chair is in the library and the teacher catches him, my son asked me what did he mean? What is he trying to talk about? And I don't want to spoil the movie, so I'm not going to tell you what it was. But if you see it, you can think of that, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. Yeah, he didn't know what that was. Good boy. All right, 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. Quick break. When we come back, Android malware and how technology is going to change your life in the next 18 months. Not distant future, not traveling to the stars or flying cars, but in the next 18 months, how this is going to change your life. Coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations line of modular computers last longer and perform better than those box store one-size-fits-all systems. When it's time to replace your computer, call Schrock at 934-9423 and find.
And this is the difference. I can say this on Facebook, but on the radio, I wasn't sure. But so this kid is helping Spider-Man do his thing, right? And he's sitting in the chair, and he snuck away from the homecoming dance, and he's in the school library, hacking away on the computer, and he's got his little earpiece in, and he's like, Spider-Man, and he's helping him out. Go this way, go that way. And teacher walks in, turns the light on. There's a dance. What are you doing? And he's like completely like stunned and dumbfounded. And the only thing that he can think of to say is that he was looking at porn. Like, I was looking at porn? Like, because I was helping Spider-Man would be worse, like no one's going to believe that. What's the most believable? I have to lie. Well, what's she going to believe? Oh, she'll believe that. My son leans over and he goes, Dad, what is that? And I'm like, it's bad news. You don't want to do it. I'll tell you when you're older. So it was good. I was like one of those, like I went home and told my wife that, and it made her heart happy. So anyway, well, it's hard. You've got all this technology. Hey, thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate it. I saw that pop through on my HUD here when I was doing the show. I saw somebody bought a certificate. It came up, but anyway, it's hard because like when he's 10 years old, so he's to that age now where we're starting to get odd testosterone rushes, and so he gets like really lippy and angry. And then he's like super sad and sorry, and you're like, oh, he's like a Sour Patch Kid, But like it's only going to get worse from here. I haven't had a teenager before, so we'll see what happens there. But in the meantime, he was happy to get some time with Dad to go see Spider-Man: Homecoming, so that was pretty cool. All right, so coming up on the program, we're going to talk about Android malware. This stuff is pretty bad news. Moral of the story here, short version, is if you have an old Android device, you need to buy a new one, and you need to buy a new one about every 18 months to stay ahead of the curve. Otherwise, you're going to get infected. So we're literally at the point where you're pretty much slaved into buying new technology every 18 months, and not just new to you technology, like current gen technology. So you can't go out to like, Cricket and buy like the 3-year-old smartphone and be okay with that. You got to stay current with the versions of Android. If you're going to go with Android, you're going to go with Apple. It's a little bit easier, but you're going to pay more for the phone. So in the end, it costs about the same amount of money. So we're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to talk about the Tesla that's coming out this month, $35,000 vehicle before rebates. And it's an example of, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the industries that this is going to disrupt. It's a completely headless car, self-driving. So we're going to talk a little bit about the opportunity that it's going to bring, and a little bit about the disruption it's going to bring, because it's going to disrupt a lot of people. If you thought that taxi cab unions were ticked off about Uber drivers, just wait until you don't need a taxi driver at all. Just wait until you don't need an airplane pilot or a ship's captain or any minimum wage employees at McDonald's. McDonald's just bought like something like 30,000 front counter robots to basically take orders and make food basically. And they're replacing tons of $15 an hour minimum wage people. This is happening in all the minimum wage states that were pushing higher minimum wages, like $15 an hour minimum wages. So we're seeing that happen here in all of those. So it's pretty intense stuff, guys. I mean, the world is changing. And, just the other day, my wife was in the parking lot over at Shadow Lake, and she was backing out of a parking spot. Somebody backed into her. And literally, like, the first thing that flew out of her mouth was like, "You rich person." Blah, 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 blah. My wife had an SUV. She had like a Chevy Malibu. I mean, it's not like, you backed into my Maserati come on, it's an SUV, all right? And yeah, the first thing out of her mouth was the class warfare stuff, and you're just like, oh my gosh, she backed into us, and she's like, I can't afford to fix this. And we're like, I don't know what you're gonna do, but all right. Anyway, back to the show. We'll talk to you in a sec.
Alrighty, welcome back into Compute This, and we're past halftime now. Downhill slide from here, 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. I mean downhill as in going toward the finish line, not downhill like the show is just going to get way worse from this point forward. We've already talked about Spider-Man. It can't go anywhere else but down from here. All right, let's jump into the phones real quick. Glenn's been real patient with us. Glenn, thank you for holding. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Hi, Thor. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question. Number one, for the previous caller, I would say that keep in mind CenturyLink and Cox, if you leave their service, you also have to get away from their email address. You might be stuck.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Go to a web-based email account. Now, number two, on to my question. Set up my computer a while back, and I've got a Microsoft account, all that stuff, and I set up my computer with one account. It's an administrator account. And I do know, being an IT guy, that now, being hindsight, is not a very good idea to have your primary and only account on your computer as being administrator account.
Mm-hmm.
How would you recommend to get away from that, where all my stuff is in my primary account? Should I,
Sure.
Turn that into a regular user account, make a new user account, keeping in mind I have I've got Cortana on my phone, I've got, I go log into 3 different computers, I see the same things on all the computers through my Microsoft account.
Gotcha. All right, so you're running Windows 10 then, because you're using Cortana.
Correct.
You don't have an administrator account.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, when I originally set up my computer, it just says,
Yeah, you're using an account called administrator, but if it's popping up with user account control, like when you go to install a program, does it pop up and say, do you want to allow this program to install?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so that's the user account control. What that's asking you to do is to elevate your privileges to that of an administrator to allow an installation.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the ability to elevate your own privileges, which in itself, from a security perspective, is not a safe, situation, because people always elevate. If you give a guy in America an option to elevate his privilege, and that privilege is going to go up, But basically, if it's asking you when you install a program, do you want to let this install? Let's compare that to an administrator account, say on Windows XP, where if you were in an administrative account on Windows XP, if you installed a program, it would just install. And if you were like a less than administrator, you'd have to provide the administrator password to get it to install. Now you can do the same thing on your Windows 10 computer. You can create like a child account, basically like a non-administrative account. Now when you're logged in as the administrator, you can create this account. Then you can actually go. Everything in Windows 10 is saved. All your stuff, everything you see on your desktop, your documents, your downloads, your favorites, all that stuff, your application data, everything is saved in your user folder. So it's in the root drive in C, users, and then administrator. So if you create an account, let's just call it not administrator, you can take everything from your administrator user folder and copy and paste it into the child account user folder. And then when you log into the child account, all of your documents and your desktop stuff will be there exactly where it's supposed to be. But then every time you try to do something, instead of just clicking yes to continue, you'll have to provide the administrative password and then click yes to continue. So it's one step safer in that if somebody else walks into the room and you don't have a password set up on your computer and they just start using your computer, they can't install stuff. But in the end of the day, you're still the administrator. At the end of the day, you're still providing permission for something to install on the computer. So the password is almost like a pain in the butt step. As long as you click yes to continue, you're going to type in the password and click yes to continue. So I think you're okay where you're at as long as there's no one else using the computer. If there are other people using the computer and you're not sure about their judgment sometimes, think like, teenagers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You might want to set up separate restricted accounts for them that prevent them from installing things. But keep in mind that there's a direct correlation between disruptions to your daily activities requesting you to enter passwords that the kids don't know that coincides with the safety and security of your computer. So you have to find the balance there. Because like when my son wants to watch any of the Avengers movies on Amazon, because they're PG-13, he's got to have the PIN number. And we don't want to tell him the PIN number because then he could watch R-rated stuff. So, we have to go over to the TV and turn your head and type in the PIN number. And then, okay, we can keep going. So that you're going to get bugged for the password if you do that, but on the other hand, it will keep your computer much safer.
That's awesome information, Thor. It's exactly what I was looking for, and that makes perfect sense to me. Now, I'm the only one using the computer. I think I'll just be diligent, but I was more like when you initially start up a computer, it's just a good idea to make it a user account and add an administrator account, but it sounds like that mentality and that strategy has become outdated.
Yeah, and it's really similar to, like, you might remember back in the day, they used to say you should install Windows on one drive and have all your information and data saved on another drive inside the computer. And honestly, looking back in time, I cannot find any legitimate technical reason why you would do that. Like, you have access to both drives. So maybe back in the day, viruses were so rudimentary that they couldn't move between drives, I guess. And then the best part is now when you get a new computer, we still have customers to this day that will ask us to partition the computer, to split the partition in half. So there's a C and a D drive, but they're on the same hard drive, and one for data and one for but we're like, if your hard drive fails, you're going to lose both partitions. They're on the same drive. Why are we doing this? Windows isn't set up to work that way anymore. So thank you very much for the call, Glenn. I appreciate it. No sweat there at all. It's always security is always a good idea to improve security when you can, and that's one easy way to do it. 402-558-1110, 800-543-1110. Let's get into this Android malware a bit. All right, so if you have an Android device, a tablet or a phone, I have an Android device. I've got a Samsung smartphone right here. So if you have an Android device, there are new versions of Android coming out. Now, you have a Windows computer, so you're not foreign to the idea of updates, okay? But Android does their updates a little bit differently than, say, Windows does. When Android does an update, what it's going to do is they're going to release an entire new version of Android, and they name them after candy. So, we had, Lollipop and Jelly Bean and Kit Kat and, all these things. So basically, Android version 4.4 is Kit Kat, and 4.4 was released right around 2013. And so basically, Android 4.4 all the way back to Android 3.2, those versions of Android represent about 40% of the Android marketplace. So 40% of the users worldwide who are using Android are using antiquated operating systems that have known security vulnerabilities. So you have to ask yourself, why have these people not chosen to upgrade to the current version of Android to keep their device protected? Couple reasons. Number one, just like your Windows updates, everybody always says, my computer used to be so fast and now it's so slow. What happened? It's because you've added so much more work for the computer to do. You're adding updates upon updates upon updates upon updates, and all of a sudden, there's no resources left. You can't just keep adding work without adding resources, otherwise the work's going to get done more slowly, right? So what's going on here with Android is every time you get a new Android update, it makes your device run slower and slower and slower. And the processor and the hardware differences we've had since 2013 to present are significant. So if you're trying to run a circa 2017 operating system on 2013 hardware, that's like running Windows 10 on a Windows Vista box. It just doesn't work well. Maybe you can get it to work if you Jimmy rig it 6 ways from Sunday, but it's not going to work well. So what do? You just run with the outdated version because buying a new phone is like, $500. So I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to run with the outdated version. So here's this story. And this, it's kind of funny. I'll read you the headline and then I'll read you the first paragraph of the story. This Android malware steals data from 40 apps, spies on messages and location. This is from ZDNet, a neat little industry website that I like to use. All right. A newly uncovered form of Android malware aims to steal data from over 40 popular apps, including Facebook, WhatsApp, Skype, and Firefox. And the Trojan has been actively engaging in this illicit activity for almost 2 years. Rewind. A newly uncovered form, fast forward, for nearly 2 years. Newly uncovered for nearly 2 years. Wow. What have you done for me lately? All right, dubbed Spy Dealer. The malware harvests vast amounts of personal information from compromised users, including phone numbers, messages, contacts, call history, connected Wi-Fi information, read Wi-Fi passwords, and even the location of your device. So, okay, all that stuff is bad, right? But they bury the lead like 4 paragraphs down here. Like many other, 5 paragraphs, 6 paragraphs, All right. With 2 billion Android devices worldwide, this means nearly 500 million Android devices are vulnerable to having their data stolen. But the big thing that blows my mind here is this malware also allows the bad guys to activate your camera, both front and rear facing, and record what it's seeing. They can activate your microphone and record what they're hearing. They can get your GPS data, record that. They can record your phone calls. They can record your text messages. So basically, the security in Android 4.4 KitKat going back was great in 2013, but the world has moved since then, and that security is now a joke. It's like Windows XP security. Like the previous caller, if we would have set up his non-administrator account, there are so many privilege elevation vulnerabilities, it wouldn't protect your Windows XP computer to do that anymore. It did back in the day, but it wouldn't work anymore. So those people aren't going to upgrade to KitKat primarily, not because they don't want to, or from KitKat, not because they don't want to, but because you have to get the update from your phone provider. And your phone provider knows if you're using an outdated piece of junk phone and they push you an update that makes it run like garbage, you're going to be upset with them. Not Android, not Google, with them, because they're forcing you to buy a new phone and they're going to lose you as a monthly customer, so they don't push the update. So now what Google has started to do is they are starting to restrict your access to the Google Play Store. In other words, you can't get apps and you can't update your apps, which leaves you in a whole nother security pickle, if you have an old, outdated version of Android. So now what's happening is Google has also put limitations on. So Samsung, I've gotten so many updates from my Samsung Galaxy phone in the last few months, and they seem to be coming out more frequently, and they're a little more roughshod. They're a little rough around the edges. So I get an update that immediately patches a vulnerability but makes my phone run like garbage, and then like a month later I get another update that fixes the garbage after they have time to think through it, because Google's pushing these security patches super quickly. So there's a couple things you can do. First of all, if you have an Android device, you need to be running a little program called Lookout. Lookout is good malware. It's free. It's an anti-malware program for your phone. Now, here's the problem. After 2 years of this infecting people's computer or phones, they still don't know how it's getting in. They're using an unknown Android vulnerability in KitKat and lower. So something they did from KitKat to Lollipop got rid of the vulnerability. But from KitKat down, this was a problem. Gingerbread has a problem. You know, all the other candies have a problem. But something they did in that iteration after KitKat fixed it. They don't know what it was, though. They don't know how these guys are getting in. And honestly, no one's really researching it because, hey, we all told you shouldn't be using KitKat and lower, so get off the KitKat and lower. Get a new device. But what's happening now is you're going to be forced into a new device literally every 2 years or less if you follow that security recommendation, because that's how fast the software is coming out now. Remember, it used to be the hardware that was pushing the software. Now it's the software that's pushing the hardware. Another great example of this is what you're seeing coming out of Tesla right now. So this month, Tesla is going to be releasing its first Model 3. Now, this is a significant move for Tesla. There is one in Dundee somewhere. I've seen it driving around on my way to the show. They're usually going to church or something, and I see them driving their Tesla out the door. But basically, if you're not familiar with what a Tesla is a completely electric vehicle. There is no engine. There's no gasoline combustion engine in it whatsoever. No emergency if you run out of battery, whatever, which a lot of people, including me, I was hung up on that for a while. Like, you can get 208 miles on a Model 3 before the battery's out of juice. And I'm like, what happens if you get stranded? Well, what happens if you run out of gas, dude? Oh, well, you can get a gas station anywhere. What happens if I don't have a place to plug in? Hey, there you go. Well, you could just pull up to a gas station and plug in, couldn't you? Well, I suppose. Huh, okay. In fact, a lot of the Hy-Vees are putting in charging stations that you can rapidly charge your car while you're shopping now. Oh, okay, cool. So, anyway, the Tesla, they have 400,000 of these that have been pre-ordered, and this is a completely headless vehicle. It is completely self-driving. So what we're seeing now is vehicles being manufactured that can drive themselves in certain circumstances, that will literally pull themselves out of the garage, pull up to the curb, and open the door for you in the morning when you give it the signal. It's like having a chauffeur, but it's all automated. When you pull up, okay, how many of you, I went downtown to get some ice cream with my wife yesterday, or on Friday, it was date night, and, you do the circle thing where you're driving around the block in a circle looking for a parking spot. Everybody's done that. Well, with a Tesla,
You pull up to where you want to go, and you get out of the Tesla, and on your smartphone, you press park. And your Tesla circles the block until it finds a spot, or goes further, however, it doesn't really care, and it parks. And when you're ready to leave, you push the button again, and your Tesla pulls out of the parking spot and comes and picks you up. I am not joking. This is real tech that you can buy right now, rolling off the assembly lines from Tesla. Okay? For those of you who saw Spider-Man, there was a nice product placement plug for the Audi self-driving mode in there. So it's not just Tesla doing this, but the Tesla thing is the car costs $35,000 before rebates. You know, after you get all the clean energy rebates and everything, it's going to be like a $25,000 car. So, wow. To give you an idea, I'm driving my 2013 F-150. It's platinum, though. 2015, it's a luxury pickup truck. It's a man luxury truck. And if I wanted to buy the 2000, I'm not going to be greedy. I don't want the 2018 model year F-150 platinum. I'll take the 17, right? Do you know that's a $65,000 pickup truck now? $65,000 for a pickup truck. Yes, the seats are leather, and they're cushy and nice. And I do put 114,000 miles a year on my truck. But my butt is not worth $65,000. I'm sorry. I'll put a cushion on the seat. Thank you. But I can get a Tesla, which is what all the tech boys want, that drives itself, parks itself, means I don't have to spend any. It costs you like $200 a year in electricity to run the darn thing. And there's no maintenance. None. There's no engine. There's no oil. The brakes, well, you got to, I'm sure there's brakes. There's literally a transmission, an electric motor or two, and a battery. That's it. Everything else is computers. When you have a problem with your Tesla, you pull it into your garage. And at night, you report it on the Tesla website, and at night a Tesla engineer connects to your car over Wi-Fi and fixes the problem because the entire car is software-driven. It's not hardware-driven. The average automobile, combustion engine automobile, has 12,000 separate parts that's used to make that car. A Tesla has 1,200 parts. It's within every reasonable expectation that your zero-maintenance Tesla will last 1 million miles. What's to break? Put tires on it? Put brakes on it? You might wreck it, but it's not going to break down. And if it does, they'll send a flatbed truck from a Tesla repair facility to pick it up and go fix it. You don't even have to drive it in anywhere. It's pretty amazing stuff, and that's the future. So imagine what that's going to disrupt so many industries. No more oil changes. No more gas stations. So basically, now in the next 18 months, this is, plenty of people are going to have self-driving vehicles. And we want to get into it. I could do a whole show on how the automotive industry is completely hosed going forward 10 years from now. Ford won't be selling cars to individuals as their primary source of business a decade from now. They just won't. You won't buy cars anymore. You're going to Uber a headless Ford. And Ford will have a fleet of headless vehicles they dispatch to pick you up, take you where you want to go. It's like Ford's going to become a taxi service. That's where it's going. But that's neither here nor there. The whole dealership model is in trouble. Everything's in trouble. Some people will still want to have their own cars, but when you look at the cost of the car and the cost of, basically a headless Uber that you don't even have to deal with the shady guy driving it, or worry about that, why not? So the same thing is happening with computers. Everything is going chip on board. Everything is getting slimmer and sleeker and smaller, and the software is pushing the hardware and pushing the hardware to do more and more things. We want a 3D print. We want holograms. We want art. We want artificial intelligent assistants like Cortana. All this stuff is pushing forward. Oh, yeah, Don writes he'll think he'll keep his 95 F-350. Tesla's got a pickup truck coming out in 2 years. And I hear you, Don. My truck's paid off. I'm loving it. No car payment. Happy day. But, man, for half of what for less than I paid for my pickup truck, I could get a brand new Tesla now. Golly. I need to buy a new Schrock vehicle in the next couple of years. Maybe I'll just buy a Tesla because the cheapest car you can get, like if you want to get a cheap little car to put a wrap on and send it out for your business, a Ford Fusion's like $16,000. For $25,000, I can have a Tesla. And come on, people are going to notice the Schrock Tesla when it goes by. Okay? I'm just saying. That's the whole point of wrapping the car, right? So this is happening with our computers as well. So bringing this full circle back to maintenance again. With your computers, you are getting locked into the same 18 to 24-month life cycle. That's happening with all technology right now. It's a software-driven thing where if 18 to 24 months you don't take care of your stuff and make sure it's working well, if anything goes wrong with it, it's going to be cheaper to replace it with a new one than to fix it. Imagine in your car, let's say I wreck my 2013 F-150. I wreck it out. It's worth $25,000 right now. I wreck it. The repair cost is going to be half of what it's worth, or half of what, let's say I totally wreck it. It's totaled. They're going to give me $25,000. That's not even half the value of a new car. With computers, it's the opposite. When you total out your computer because you didn't get maintenance, you didn't get the fans cleaned out, you didn't make sure that your hard drive wasn't going bad, all that stuff comes into it. If you don't do those things, your computer is going to die. You're going to have to replace it with a new one, and all the associated costs of transferring everything, moving. Not everyone is going to know how to move their user folder. I'm just saying. So, all this stuff is going to happen, and you're going to end up spending more money in the long run. So let us take care of the small problems while they're small, so we can keep your computer running so you don't get trapped into that 18 to 24 month life cycle. That's what we do with our modular computers. That's why they last 4 to 6 years instead of 18 to 24 months. Or why our holiday specials last an entire decade in many cases. We've seen a lot of 2010 holiday specials actually coming in for the maintenance checkup. So that's only 7 years right now, almost 8. But still, I mean, it's awesome. Who else has an 8-year-old computer anymore? It used to be back in the day, all your Gateway 2000s, we were still seeing those coming in, 5 years ago. So that's like a 12-year run there. That's a good job. But you just don't see that with the modern computers. They're not built like that anymore. They're not built to last. There's no redundancy. There's no... It's frustrating. But we can fix that. We can do that with preventative maintenance to keep everything running the way it does, so you don't get blindsided by weird little repairs. And our job is to give you options so that you know how to take care of everything when the time comes, and you don't have to follow their cycle if you don't want to. Today's winner is Glenn. Congratulations, Glenn. You got yourself a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Kathy will give you a call on Monday, get that out to you. Everybody else, stay tuned on Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations for the After Schrock Show. We'll see you again next Sunday for another edition of Compute This.
This is Nebraska's news, weather, and traffic station. This is News Radio 1110, KFAB, Omaha.
From 80.
All right, so first of all, programming note. For those of you who watch on Facebook, next week I will be camping with my scouts, so this is going to be a rerun show next week. So there will not be a Facebook Live because I won't be live. And there's no cell phone signal where I'm at. I thought about it. I thought I could just do a show live from the tent. That would be pretty cool. If I'm camping and I'm doing the computer show live from the tent, that would be pretty awesome, right? But if there is a cell phone signal, I don't know if it's there or not. So anyway, I won't be wearing a purple shirt at camp. It's just not going to work out. So basically, next week will be a rerun of this show probably. So if you have something better to do, I apologize. Once in a while, I got to do a rerun because it doesn't do me any good to talk about the latest technology news. That was the latest technology news last week. All right, so maintenance checkup stuff. Right now, the Lincoln Service Center does have a little bit of a queue. Omaha and Papillion are caught up. So if you are going to be bringing your computer into Omaha or Papillion, if you have a certificate that you bought during the last sale, like February, March era, that's going to be expiring here in a month. The reason we sent you all an email and everything to get that taken care of back in the day was because right when your certificate is expiring, we'll be wrapping up the maintenance checkup sale. We're going to be in the throes of it. And then you're going to have to come in and you're going to be stuck with a long turnaround time. So if you're in Omaha or Papillion and you have a preventative maintenance certificate that you want to use, now is the time to bring it in. On the other hand, if you need a certificate, this is the time to buy one. You can get it on our website, SchrockInnovations.com. It's good for 6 months, so you don't have to use it right now. You got plenty of time to think about it. If you have kids in school that are coming back this fall before they go back to college or whatever, or back to whatever is going on, you can get the certificates now, use them for back to school time. There's all kinds of stuff because look at we're in July now. So next month is back to school. We're in August. We're in September, right? September's a pretty chill month. That's usually when we do things like security sales, things like that. Get your computer, squared away for the year. And then we're into October. At the end of October, we're talking holiday special. And we've already started building the holiday special prototypes. The Ryzen computers, the AMD Ryzen machines are phenomenal. They're wickedly expensive right now. So they're not good for like everyday users yet, but they are, for a holiday special, they're exactly what the holiday special is supposed to be. So yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
So, all right, so let's jump in. Any questions on Facebook? Now's the time to post them. Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. What if Tesla parks in a handicap spot? Alice, that's a good question. A little tongue in cheek here, but obviously I think if they can figure out the lanes on the road, they can probably figure out if it's a handicap sign or not in the spot. But the second question there is, it's a deeper question, is who's responsible if the Tesla parks in a handicap spot? Is the owner of the Tesla responsible? The justice system hasn't been tested on this yet. I didn't park the car in a handicap spot. I didn't instruct the car park in the handicap spot. If anyone's responsible for the car parking in a handicap spot, it's themselves for not coding this to recognize handicap spots. Are you responsible when your computer downloads a virus? No, you didn't do it. So yeah, I mean, there's a ton of questions. This is what I'm saying. We're living in like the fourth industrial revolution right now. Everything is changing so fast that our government can't keep up. Just look at what's going on right now with the election. Oh, the Russians are hacking oh my goodness. The Russians everybody's hacking everything since the invention of hacking. This is nothing new. God, people, get over it. I voted for Trump. I didn't particularly like doing it. Whatever. It was the best choice among a field of terrible choices. Okay. It's done. Let's move on a little bit now. The next election is going to get hacked even worse. It is. Heck, George Soros owns the voting machine company. I mean, come on, really. I'm sure it's never getting hacked, So anyway, I digress. But yeah, technology is changing everything, and it's changing everything so quickly. And on one hand, it's a blessing. And on the other hand, it's a curse. Because if you look back in history through all the other industrial revolutions, so much good has come from the new technologies that come out. It's a refreshing revival, renewal of society, because it closes the door on stuff that was inefficient. It opens up a huge field of possibilities for the next generations coming up. Now, the challenge that we have now is everything in our society has been built around this inflationary idea that the price is always going to go up, that salaries are always going to go up, that the price of homes are always going to go up, that stocks are always going to go up long term. How many people have a stock investor that's told them buy and hold for the long term, because you're going to see these dips over time, but it always goes up in the long run? That's because of inflation. Now, the problem is the Fed right now is pumping out inflation causing stuff as fast as they can, and it's not working. The reason is technology is a deflationary influence. So let me give you an example. McDonald's in Seattle, they tell them you got to have $15 an hour employees for your front counter. These are people who do not have skill sets that warrant a $15 an hour living wage. They just don't. But you're forcing me to pay that. So I'm paying that, and I'm getting less value than I believe $15 should buy me. And of course, my cooks in the back that make $15 already, they didn't get a raise. So now they're paid the same as my front counter people. And it's like, okay, whatever. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a bunch of robots, and I'm going to eliminate their positions entirely and put these automated robots in place. So now what have I done? I'm getting huge cost savings. So my profitability is going to go up. My stock price is going to go up. There's fewer people earning money in the community now, which means fewer people spending money, which means lower tax revenues, which means tax rates have to go up on people who are paying taxes to cover all of the agreements, because the government doesn't change. The government's not firing people. The government's not getting rid of pensions. The government's not doing anything different. They're assuming that the same old stuff is going to always work. It's not. So technology is deflationary. It's causing wages. My overall as a company, but McDonald's as a company will spend less money on wages. That's deflationary. They will cause less money to be spent. If everybody does that, now let's get rid of taxi drivers. Let's get rid of bus drivers. Let's get rid of airplane pilots and ship captains. Okay, now we got rid of that. How much money would FedEx save with automated airplanes? Just saying. Let's get rid of UPS drivers and FedEx drivers, because we're going to have drone delivery and automated trucks now. So that's cool. Let's get rid of pizza delivery drivers, because Domino's will have a headless vehicle with an oven in the back keeping your pizza hot. You can track it all the way to your house. Let's get rid of, literally you can go through, and they're saying in the next 100 years, 95% of jobs that humans do will be automated, which is a huge societal problem. What do you do as a society when your whole society is based on me selling my time for value, for money? I'm exchanging my time for income so that I can buy other people's time with my money. What do you do when your time isn't worth anything anymore because I can get a robot. Well, someone's got to build the robots, right? That's how it works. ATMs are going to, bank tellers are going to be, there aren't going to be bank tellers anymore. There certainly are fewer bank tellers now, but somebody's got to fill the ATM, right? So that was like an early generation automation. Tesla, nobody understands how Tesla is going to make money selling $35,000 cars that are this high tech with all these luxury options. How is this going to be possible? Elon Musk says it's going to be possible because humans won't be building the vehicles. He calls his factory the Dreadnought for a reason. He wants a completely automated production factory, machines that make machines. So how much of a leap is it? And he's got the tech to do it. He's bought it all already. He's just got to get it up and running. So humans are building these first ones now while they perfect the manufacturing process. But once they start making 100,000 cars, they should have that down. And then they won't need the humans to make the cars anymore. And then the machines will make mistakes. They'll need humans around to monitor it. But once they get that down, they're going to need a few humans around to mop the floor maybe and make sure that the machines have enough raw materials to keep going. But otherwise, the machines will make the cars. Now we don't have a union. Now we don't have wages. How much of the price of your car that you're buying right now is wages and union wages? Get rid of them all and look at how much cheaper we can sell the cars. What is that going to do to Ford and GM? There's a reason Ford just fired their CEO and hired a new guy that has experience with artificial intelligence. Why in the world would a car maker need an artificial intelligence expert? Because they're making headless cars. They see where this is going. They see where our world is going. So, prepare your kids for this now. Get them into coding. Don't call it coding because no kid wants to learn coding. That's like saying, let's go learn math. Yay. No, let them learn how to make computers do the things they need them to do. And I don't mean just running Windows or running Word, which is a great place to start. But there are all kinds of games out there. There was something I saw on Facebook the other day where you take colored markers and you draw lines. And there's different colors to tell the little robot that crawls along the line to do different things. Kind of like an if-then statement. So there's a blue one and a purple one. And based on what you tell the robot to do, he turns it purple or turns it blue. And you can literally make a maze that the robot will follow. It's coding. That's you're providing a machine instructions. It's coding. So get the kids into coding. Get the kids into technology. DoSpace is an amazing thing here in the local community. Absolutely phenomenal. Free classes. You can go in there. Mom and dad can get a donut and a cup of coffee while the kids are doing their classes. They can learn 3D printing. They can learn coding because manufacturing is going to be coming back to America. It is. And it's not a magical thing that Donald Trump is doing, but it's coming back. It's coming back because we're not going to need people to do it. And when you don't have wages, there's no cost barrier to doing it in the United States anymore. Example, if you're 3D printing things with metal, why do you need a welder? There's nothing to weld. You're going to print the car frame as a single unified piece. What do you think Tesla's doing? They're not welding car frames together. There's no body damage. No, they make an entire frame out of one carbon fiber piece and it goes off the assembly line. So if I can 3D print stuff from start to finish and have robots assemble it, I can manufacture all kinds of stuff in America. The prices that you're going to pay for goods will go down because there's less wages. Again, that's a deflationary push. Everything's going to get cheaper. And the Fed, meanwhile, is going to churn and churn and churn and basically not pay interest. So you have retirees who spent their whole life saving money, and now they can't get a return on their investment because the only place they can put it is the stock market. The only way the stocks go up is if these guys make things more efficient and make the investing environment worse. We're in the middle of a revolution of so many aspects of our economy right now. It's unbelievable. It's scary. It's scary for me, and I'm kind of in that in-between phase. And I'm young enough that I saw what it was like before, and I'm old enough to see this is going to disrupt a lot of stuff for people who are retiring. So how are we going to make this work? It's going to be really uncomfortable for the next 30 years. But then after that, our kids are going to grow up. My 10-year-old son, when he is in his prime working years, is going to be in a completely different environment. He's got a good heart. We have a special needs daughter. He does amazing with her. We're like, he could be a good OT. And yeah, maybe they will try to put robots in charge of OT. But if you've ever tried to program your grandma or tried to program grandma, you can understand, well, getting her to take her pills on time, her programming just don't stick. You know what I mean? Now, if you've ever tried to teach them how to do a VCR or something like that back in the day, you can understand why I don't think senior citizens want robots taking care of them. I think they want people because that's what they had their whole life. They had people, and people took care of people. Now, millennials, when they get old, they might be fine having like the robot nursemaid wipe their butt or something. I don't know, but I don't think that current seniors would like that. So there's going to be opportunities for jobs. There's going to be industries that pop up that we can't even imagine yet. Saudi Arabia, they see that the end of oil is coming, because if cars don't need oil, that takes a huge chunk of the market share. There's no gas need and there's no motor oil need. What are we going to do for oil? They want to mine asteroids. Saudi Arabia is talking about working with SpaceX or Virgin Galactic, or even starting their own space agency, so they can shoot rockets up into space, land on asteroids, and mine the rare earth elements that the technology people need. They call them rare earth elements for a reason. They're rare on Earth. They're very abundant in space. So you bring that stuff back to Earth, and all of a sudden, everything's great. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's something that I'm going to keep my eye on. It's a very exciting time to live, guys. It very much is. Regardless of how you feel about it, you have to admit it's an exciting time to be alive. Scary. How does war play into this? Old ways of doing things don't just go away quietly all the time. So how do you deal with that? Is there going to be any more wars for oil? How many wars for oil have we had? And now all of a sudden we don't need to do that anymore. Well, what are they going to fight over now? Rare earth elements. Where are those at? China. Afghanistan, actually. Afghanistan has the largest lithium deposits in the world. So yeah, they have all the batteries. And it's been estimated that if Tesla hits their manufacturing goals, what they want to do with the Model 3, there's not enough lithium on the planet to do that. So I don't know who's right. We'll find out. But maybe we'll be mining lithium in Afghanistan. We can fight there for something. I don't know. All right. Any other questions here real quick? Sai's got a book recommendation. Good. Yes. Well, I'll keep my 95 F350. You better have a handicap card. Yeah. All right. Any other questions, guys? We lost 5 viewers during the technology little expose there, so I better shut up about that. All right. So next week, recorded show. You're going to hear all about the maintenance checkup special again. Know that when you're hearing that next week, robocalls are going out that week. I'm doing that the week that I'm gone, just to make sure that everybody's got work to do. I'm super paranoid about leaving for a week. It's like my baby. I can't walk away from it. Kevin will be here. Kevin took his vacation this last week, so he'll be running things for me. So if anything goes wrong next week, I'll give you the exact date. If anything goes wrong between the 14th